Welcome to the OpenJ9 community call for February 22nd. Before we get started through the agenda, does anyone have anything they want to bring up right at the beginning? So there are no lightning talks scheduled for today. We'll take a look at the end user issues that have been open in the last week. So somebody has reported that they can't run Java 8 on Windows 11. I did fire up Windows 11 and tried the simple test that the user is having trouble with, Java minus version. It seems to work fine. The user said it doesn't work for Java 8, but it does work for 17, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I wonder if it's related to the shared cache, so I've asked the user to try a couple of variations. The other one that came in the last week seems to be a JIT issue, an assertion, and someone's supposed to be looking at it. So looking at our 0.31 release, Java 18, we're down to 13 items in the milestone, but we still have 2 blockers. The GC blocker, I just saw a PR open to fix that, although I don't think it's quite ready for review yet. And then there's a new JIT blocker. We've had the issue open for a while, but I just realized the extent of the problem. I ran some special system testing late last week or over the weekend on Java 18, and we're seeing this problem pop up in a lot of tests, different modes. Sometimes in the default mode, seems to happen on all platforms. So I set that to be a blocker. I saw Daryl was pinged in that issue, so hopefully somebody will take a look at it soon. I'll open the milestone. So we do have some AIX issues. They seem to come from OpenJDK, so someone is supposed to be looking at those. In the meantime, I don't think AIX is working properly with respect to the JEP that gives you a UTF-8 by default. There are a few other things in here which are under investigation. Does anybody have any comments about issues in the milestone plan?
So one comment, the Mac OS issue seems to occur on 17, 18, and 19. Does that warrant moving it out of 31 and into 32? Or does it matter given how close those 2 releases are?
Yeah, we could move it forward if it's not specific to 18. I also wonder if this is a long-standing issue. Did you try releases before 17?
Yeah, I posted the question. Bad Neat, were you able to try 11?
It does occur in 11 as well. Just to confirm, you're talking about the. Can you provide the issue number quickly?
It's the Mac OS one that you're looking at for the.
It does occur in 11. I did reply to your comment in that issue. Okay. And I think I know why the issue is happening. I can update the OpenJ9 issue with the potential fix. I think there are multiple fixes, but I think I can start a discussion on what path to take to resolve this.
Could you give us a hint? Is it a test problem or is it a problem with the VM?
I think it's DL Open works differently on Mac OS and Linux. So what happens is redirector tries to open the VM libjvm SO or dylib in this case, and how dlopen works on macOS, it starts by looking at the environment variable dyld library path. So it recursively keeps on opening the redirector and gets exhausted of native stack. So I think the fix is to use another environment variable, which is dyld library fallback path. And with that, I think dlopen should work properly on macOS, or as expected in comparison to Linux on macOS. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm thinking this is not a regression. We've had this problem for quite some time or forever.
Yep. I think it exists since we started supporting macOS. It was not introduced at any point.
So no user has reported this as far as I know.
I'm guessing they are directly using the VM libjvm to avoid this issue. This issue only happens when you end up using the redirector, and when you set up the dyld library path environment variable. So if those two conditions are satisfied, then you would see this problem.
I suspect most users don't use either of those. They just run Java.
Yep.
We do want users to use the redirector. If they're using the non-redirector version, they could get into trouble at a later time if we introduced new VM variants that are supposed to be controlled via command line options.
Understood.
So I did move it forward to 0.32, but as it has occurred forever, I'm guessing. Toby, I'll leave it up to you if you want to put this in the backlog. It seems like something we should fix if we're getting close to a fix, so that when users do try to use the redirector, they're going to be able to successfully use it.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we're close to a fix, then we should try to fix it.
Any other comments on issues in the milestone plan? So I know, Toby, you asked me about a delay to the release schedule, but I don't think we should say we're going to be delayed yet. Looks like we may be down to one blocker soon. And unless we can justify setting anything else in the milestone plan as a blocker, then maybe we can go ahead and ship on time, or we have for the we're supposed to ship within 2 weeks. So we do have that grace period that we could use if necessary. I would suggest that if we think we're not going to make it within the 2 weeks of the OpenJDK GA, that we would cancel this release and not delay it further, because we have 1801 coming up in the next month. But I'd hope we can go ahead and get this out on time, with the exception possibly of AIX. So we'll have to see how it goes for AIX.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it possible to release all platforms with the exception of AIX for 2.31?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
Might disappoint some people, but I mean, if it's not working, our choice is not to ship it or have a release note explaining what doesn't work. So we'll wait and see. Maybe we'll get a fix. We still have almost a month until the GA date. So we were supposed to have a milestone 2 this week, but I think we should wait until we have the fix for the GC problem at least, and possibly a fix for the DAA issue as well. So we'll see if we can get some action on that one, and if we're making progress, we can decide if we want to delay M2 or not next week, if we want to delay M2 further. Does anybody have any other comments for Java 18 release? Okay, moving on to the next release, the 032 release. Right now we have 4 items in the milestone, but I wanted to talk about what I've done. We used to have quite a number of items in the milestone plan. That a lot of them were moving forward from release to release. So what I did was I took, let's take a look. I think there's something like 113 issues, and I moved them to a milestone called backlog. Now we used to have a milestone called backlog already, but what I did was I renamed that one to call it deep backlog, because those are things that have been sitting in that backlog, for years possibly. Likely we're never going to get to those. If we're going to get to all the things that are in the backlog, but right now it's sitting at 113 issues. When new user raised issues come in, I'm now adding them to the backlog and not the next milestone plan. And when new test failures occur that don't seem to be regressions, then I'm also moving them to the backlog, or I guess, yeah, if they seem to be regressions or something that needs to be addressed with urgency, then they go into the next milestone plan. But if they don't seem urgent, or could be machine problems or network problems, then they go into the backlog. So I'm looking at the team leads to look at the items in the backlog and figure out what needs to be resolved for the next release and add them to the milestone plan for the next release. I did put a few things in, and I see Toby put something in. So we have the one blocker for the new test that we've been carrying for a little while. There's some work that Keith is doing, the IBM Java command line, which actually we're calling OpenJ9 Java command line. I know Keith has addressed most of the platforms already, maybe with the exception of ZOS. There are some test issues still. I think there's still a test issue on AIX and an internal test issue, so I'm hoping to get those resolved soon and we can get that one closed out. Keita's got a PR that I guess she wants to get merged. A UTF-8 properties code point test. I think maybe this is the one Toby added in. There's the segmentation error when running Java minus version. I put that in there for now because not being able to run Java 8 on Windows 11 sounds pretty serious, although I couldn't repeat it. So depending on what the user tells me, I may move this one out to the backlog. And then there's the Mac one that we just moved forward from 031. So this is our list for the next release, 032. We are supposed to branch for that today, but I think there's a little bit of churn there. There's a question mark of whether we should branch today or next week. I think we should defer it to next week to avoid having to triple deliver things. I'm looking for other opinions on that. I don't know if there's anything pending of higher risk that people are waiting to merge after a branch, or if everyone's okay with delaying the merge or delaying the branch by another week.
I agree with delaying the branch.
Okay, so I'll update the minutes for that. And then we can move into other business. Unless some people have something else they want to talk about. 032. Is there anyone with an update from Adopt? Let's see Shelly on. Adam, did you have anything for machines?
Yeah, so we're getting up above 90% for Artifactory space. So we reduced it from 45-day total cleanup to 30 days.
Thank you
So
for
we're
doing
down
that.
to 78 today. so that's more reasonable. We did have an A-Linux network issue last week, and it seems to have resolved itself over the weekend, so we're going to keep an eye on that. And we just upgraded Jenkins to the latest version, as well as all the plugins and OS updates. So if there's any issues that pop up, let me know. That's about it.
Okay, thanks. Devin, do you have any update on the CMake migration?
Nothing really new there. I'm just addressing some comments on a fix-up commit in OMR for some of the cross-compile stuff.
How close are we to having the cross-compile working for Risk V?
I believe it works now. I'll double check that, but should be working.
So is there a lot more work to do on cross-compile then?
I don't think so. I think once I get this fix merged in, oh, sorry, no, there is a change in the GAK extensions, which was just waiting on some of the OMR fixes to get merged. But then it should be good to go.
And is that extensions change required for Risk V, or it's just general cleanup?
Well, it is to get the cross-compile stuff working properly.
Okay. And then the next up is the Axon builds?
I believe so, yeah.
I see it says Axon builds still pending here in the minutes. Anything else?
That's it.
Thanks. JIT server, Maris, do you have an update on that?
Oh, nothing to report this time.
Or for microjet? Anything to say?
This week is the so 2 days from now, 24th is the next meeting. Yeah.
Toby, snapshot and restore?
Yeah, we've had a few updates in the last week. So we've pushed some changes to enable us to do fix up of heap objects, which is required for things like timers and random instances and the like, things that need to be addressed at checkpoint time in order to make the restore JVM unique. So if you restore multiple times, you end up with different JVMs. Now we're looking into some issues with identity operations like wait, notify during the single thread mode. So we're currently working on some solutions to avoid deadlocks in those cases.
Who normally updates the minutes for snapshot and restore? I wasn't able to capture everything you were saying there. So I guess if you want updates in the minutes, maybe you can do that after.
Yeah, I'll add an update.
Jack, anything for Project Loom? Is Jack on?
No, I think he's not here.
Anybody else? Updates for Project Loom?
I think his last update was he was working on a PR to add native links to the Java API so that we can get the basic things working for Project Loom.
I think Jack is still working on to merge in Project Loom with our OpenJDK, like use AI Java thread. And actually, I'm doing the extension repo part merging work, but there's a significant merge conflict in the Java thread at this moment. That's because Project Loom changing this thread class kind of, I would say, dramatically. So we probably need to do some more work in thread to accommodate the Project Loom's work, and it can be used without Project Loom. They are currently kind of not compatible. Yeah, that's what I know.
Okay, thanks. Anything else? Cheng, Project Panama?
Not too much. Still debugging the code changes in terms of the structure argument because there are tons of bugs out there to need to understand why it fails and need to fix them one by one. So yeah, that's about it.
It's the down call phase 4 you're working on?
And the down call is already working. Yeah, I think it's already merged everything except the OpenJDK extension, I think.
Nice stuff. That's done. So you say the OpenJ9 changes are merged?
Yeah.
And which part of your are you working on now?
Upcall in terms of structure support.
Oh yeah, it's there. Right, okay, thanks. Does anyone have updates on the Mac M1 work? I don't see Daryl, so. Any other business? Okay, we'll see everybody next week. Thank you.